That isn't what I said.
You said counter
No,
order.
I said women are more intuitive and men are not just emotional. No,
counter order. I think it's necessary for me to remind all of you exactly what the debate is supposed to be. According to my dictionary, the term debate is defined as follows: the orderly and regulated discussion of an issue with opposing viewpoints receiving equal time and consideration. Shouting so that the conversation cannot be heard does not comply with that definition. Enthusiasm for your cause is most certainly recommendable, but without personal discipline, it is as useless as having a good donkey and a good cat with no harness. We now run out of time, and therefore bring the opening section of our debate to a close. We'll bring our proceedings to the close with a brief, I repeat, brief, no more than 3 minutes summing up your arguments. Starting with the proposal of the motion, Mr. Thami Mbikwana of the Zori High. Will you please make your concluding statements?
I don't stand here now and speak to you as your friend and schoolmate. That would lessen the seriousness of my final words to you. No! Close your eyes. Forget that you know my face and voice. Forget that you know anything about Thami Mbikwana. Think of me rather as an oracle. Of my words as those of the great ancestors of our traditional African culture, which we turn our backs to and desert to our great peril. The opposition has spoken about sexual exploitation and the need for women's liberation. Brothers and sisters, these are foreign ideas. Do not listen to them. They come from a culture, the so-called Western civilization, that has meant nothing but misery to Africa and its people. It is the same culture that shipped out thousands of our ancestors as slaves. The same culture that has exploited us with the greed of a vulture during the period of colonialism. And the same culture that continues to exploit us in this 20th century under the disguise of concern for our future. The opposition has not been able to refute my claim that women cannot do the same jobs as men because they are not our equals physically. And that a woman's role in the family and the society is different from that of a man's. These facts taken into consideration reinforce what our fathers, grandfathers, and our great-grandfathers knew. That the happiness and the prosperity of a tribe and a nation is achieved when education of the little ladies takes this fact into consideration. Will it be appropriate for a woman to go to war while a man sits behind a sewing machine? I do not have milk in my breast to feed my baby while my wife is out there digging up the road for a divisional council. Brothers and sisters, I am sure you feel the same way as I do about this most serious matter. I believe that at the end of this debate, your vote will reflect your agreement with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mbikwana. And now finally, the captain of the visiting team, Miss Isabel Dyson.
You have had to listen to a lot of talk this afternoon about traditional values, traditional society, your great ancestors, your glorious past. In spite of what has been implied, I want to start off by telling you that I have as much respect and admiration for your tradition as anybody else. I believe most strongly that there are values and principles in traditional African society that can be studied with great profit by the Western civilization, so scornfully rejected by the previous speaker. But at the same time, I know, and you know, that Africa no longer lives in the past. For better or for worse, it is part now of the 20th century, and all the nations on this continent are struggling very hard to come to terms with that reality. Arguments about traditional values, the traditional way of life, etc., are used by those who would like to hold back Africa's progress and keep it locked up in the past. Maybe there was a time when a woman's life consisted of bearing children and hoeing the fields while the men sat around sharpening their spears and waiting for another war to start. But it is an argument that relies on that old primitive image of Africa for its strength. It is an argument that insults your intelligence. Times have changed. Sheer brute strength is not the determining factor anymore. You do not need the muscles of a prize fighter when you sit down to operate the computers that control today's world. The American space program now has women astronauts on board doing the same jobs as men. As for the difference between men and women, remember it is a question of difference and not inferiority, and that with those differences comes strengths which compensate for the weaknesses in the opposite sex. And lastly, a word of warning. The argument against equality for women based on alleged differences between the two groups is an argument that can very easily apply to any other different group. It is an argument based on prejudice, not on fact, and I ask you not to give it your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Dyson. We come now to a vote. But before we do so, a word of caution. We've had a wonderful experience here this afternoon. Don't let it end on a frivolous and irresponsible note. Serious issues have been debated here today. Vote accordingly. To borrow a phrase of Mr. Mbikwana, forget the faces, remember the words. If you feel that you have what it takes to vote out there in the real world, ensure that you know how to use it here in the classroom. We'll take by a count of hands, and for any over-enthusiastic supporters, only one hand per person, please. Let me read the motion once again. That in view of the essential physical and psychological differences between men and women, there should be correspondingly different educational syllabuses for the two sexes. All those in favor, raise a hand. 17. All those against? 24. The proposal has been defeated by 24 to 17 votes. Allow me to offer you my congratulations, Ms. Dyson, on a most well-deserved victory. Won't you say so, Mr. Mbikwana?
Your concluding statement was a knockout.
You made me so angry.
I did?
Yeah, you did. I was beginning to think you actually believed what you were saying.
But I do.
Oh, come on!
Oh, splendid, splendid, splendid! The intellect in action. Challenge and response. That is what a good debate is all about. And whatever you do, young lady, don't underestimate your achievements by winning the popular votes this afternoon. It wasn't easy for them to vote against him. He's one of them, and a very popular one of them, I might add. You're quite shameless in the way you exploited that loyalty, young man.
But was that wrong?
No. As the saying goes, all is fair in love, war, and debating. But the fact that you didn't win is what makes me so happy. In my humble opinion, our audience are today's true winners. You two had to talk and argue. Anybody can do that. They had to listen intelligently.
Well, they certainly gave me a good time.
That was very apparent, if I may say so, Miss Dyson. I cannot thank you enough for coming over to us here today. I sincerely hope that there will be another occasion.
Same here.
Good. I must be on my way. There's a staff meeting waiting for me. Will you take care of Miss Dyson, Mr. Mbikwana?
Yes, teacher.
I wish we had a teacher like Mr. Milo. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did. But nobody calls him that. He's just plain Mr. M to everybody.
Mr. M.
That's right.
Well, I think he's wonderful.
He's okay.
I had a geography teacher in Standard 7 who was a bit like him, full of fun and lots of energy.
That's Mr. M, all right.
I meant what I said to her. I really did have a good time.
You did?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting it.
Same here.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, you know.
Let me guess. You've never debated with girls before. And white girls at that. I don't believe it. Boys are all the same.
But you were good.
Well, that's because I happen to believe very strongly atmosphere, you know, I mean, it was so free and easy. The debates at my school were such stuffy affairs. Everything was done according to the rules, and everybody being polite and nobody being excited. Lots of discipline and very little enthusiasm. This one was a riot.
Be careful.
What?
That word.
Which one?
Riot. Don't say it in a black township. Police just start shooting as soon as they hear it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
It was a joke, Isabel.
Oh, I didn't even joke about those things.
Oh, riots and police? Oh yes, we joke about them. We joke about everything.
Well, then I'll say it again this afternoon. It was a riot.
Good. Try that out on your folks when you get home tonight. Say the newspapers are both all wrong, and that you have fun participating in a little township riot.
I can just see them cracking up at that.
They won't think it was funny?
Are you kidding me? They even take the Marx Brothers seriously. And I can just hear my mom. Isabel, I think it is very wrong to joke about those things.
Dyson. That's an English name.
Sober, sensible, English-speaking South African. I'm the third generation.
What does that do?
He's a chemist. The chemist shop in town, Carew Pharmacy. That's ours. My mom and sister work in it as well, and on Saturdays, provided there's a hockey match, so do I.
Any brothers?
No, just the four of us.
You have a family.
Yeah, I suppose you could call us that. Mind you, Lucille would say it would be a lot happier if her little sister would be, as she puts it, more accommodating of others.
And what does she mean by that?
Oh, she just means that she doesn't like the fact that I've got opinions of my own. I'm the rebel in the family.
That sounds most interesting.
Well, I can't help it. I mean, whenever we sit down to a family indaba, you know, we all gather in the lounge to discuss family business and things, I just always end up disagreeing with everybody and wanting to do things my own way. But, yeah, an average sort of family. What else do you want to know? Go ahead, anything. Provided I also get a turn to ask questions.
Oh, okay.
18 years old. I think I want to be a writer. My favorite subject is English, and my favorite sport, as you might have guessed it, is hockey. Anything else?
Yes. What did you have for breakfast this morning?
Auntie, our maid, put down in front of me a plate of steaming, delicious juggalos, over which I sprinkled a crust of golden brown sugar, and while that was melting, I poured a little moat of chilled milk all around the side. That was followed by brown bread toast, quench jam, and lots of tea.
Yes, you're a writer.
Think so?
You made me hungry.
My turn now.
Yeah.
Let's start with your family.
Mbikwana. Mbikwana is an old Bantu name. And my mother and father are good, reliable, ordinary, hard-working, Bantu-speaking, black South African natives. I am the 100,000th generation.
You really like teasing, don't you?
Amos and Lady Mbikwana. They're in Cape Town. My mom is a domestic while my dad works for the railway. I live here with my grandmother and my married sister. You see, I was sent to school in the peaceful playground because it's much more safer here than the big city with all these troubles and temptations. Another Bantu joke.
You're possible. Zoli High School, Standard 10. Awu,
Johnny, center point on soccer team.
Banla,
Banla there.
Kwadi.
Swat there.
Oh, who was the chap sitting there that laughed at all your jokes and plotted everything you said?
Stephen Geiger. He's mad.
And your best friend?
They're all my friends.
And where does Thami and Mbikwana stay?
There, that's the one. For over 2 years I've sat there being educated.
John Bobby, Zola, Bonnie.
CA.
Well, where's your name?
You won't find it there. I don't want to leave any part of me in this classroom.
That sounds heavy.
It's been very heavy. You've got no problems with it, hey?
With school?
Yeah.
No, not really. A couple of teachers have tried their best to spoil it for me, but they haven't succeeded. I've had a pretty good time, in fact. I mean, I might end up with the old cliche, you know, school years, happiest years, best years, whatever it is they say.
I won't be saying that.
That surprises me.
Why?
Well, I mean, yeah. Wouldn't you be if I said it, you're obviously clever. I'll bet you sail through your exams.
It's not as simple as just passing exams, Isabel. School doesn't mean the same thing to me as it does to you.
Go on.
Yeah. I used to like it. Junior school. I wanted to even have school on Saturdays and Sundays as well. Yes, I did. The other boys wanted to kill me. I hated the holiday.
So what happened?
I changed.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah. I changed, things changed, everything changed.
Well, only 5 more months to go.
I'm counting.
What then?
After school. Do you?
Yeah, Rhodes University. I want to study journalism.
Newspaper reporter, right?
And radio, TV. It's a very wide field, and you can specialize in all sorts of things. Don't you want to study further, Thami?
I've told you before. School does not mean the same thing to me as it does to you.
Well, what does Mr. M say?
It's got nothing to do with Mr. M.
Well, you're his favorite, aren't you? I bet you are, and I bet you anything you like to have your whole career planned out for you.
What I do with my life has got nothing to do with Mr. M. I don't listen to what he says and I don't do what he says.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
It's alright, Isabel. It's just that he makes me so mad sometimes. He always thinks he knows what's best for me. He doesn't even ask to know how I feel about things. I know he means well, but I'm not a child anymore. I've got ideas of my own now.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That happened in my life as well. They always think they know what's best for you, don't they? Oh, so anyway, listen, I'm going to write up a debate in our school newspaper. I can send you a copy if you like.
You got a newspaper?
Yeah, it's a bit. I'm ethical reporting on a contest in which I took part and won, but I promised to be objective. I made notes of most of your main points.
Well, you can have my speech if you want.
Oh, well, that'll make it a lot easier and guarantee there won't be any misquotes. Oh, well, see you later. It's on the edge of town. On the right-hand side of the road when you drive out to join National going north to Middleburg. Fortunately, as most of Camden would say, you can't miss it. I discovered the other day it has actually got a name. Brackwater, from the old farm that used to be there. Now everybody just calls it the location. There's been a lot of talk lately about moving it to where it can't be seen. Our mayor, Mr. Pinar, was in our shop the other day, and I overheard him say to my dad that it was very much to be regretted that the first sight to greet any visitors to our little town was the terrible mess of the location. I've actually been into it quite a few times. With my mom to visit Auntie, our maid, when she was sick, or with my dad to deliver emergency medicines to the clinic. I can remember one visit just sitting in the car, staring out the window, trying to imagine what it would be like to live my entire life in one of those little pandas. No running water, no electricity, no privacy. I mean, Auntie's little house has 2 small rooms and only 9 of them sleep there. I ended up being pretty glad I was born with white skin. But, I mean, don't get the wrong idea. It's not like I spent a lot of time thinking about it seriously or anything. It's just been there, you know? On the edge of my life, like it is on the edge of town. So Miss Broccoli, our principal, came to me and told me that the black school had started a debating society and invited us over for a debate. I didn't have any objections. She said it would be a chance for a pioneering intellectual exchange between the 2 schools. She also said she'd check with the police and they said it would be all right, provided we were driven straight in and then straight out afterwards. There's been a bit of trouble on location. People are starting to get nervous. They were waiting for us in what they called number 1 classroom. To be honest, it was the most bleak and depressing classroom I'd ever been in. I mean, everything about it was gray. The floor, the walls, the ceiling. And when I first walked in, I thought, how, in God's name, does anybody study or learn anything in here? mostly boys, and not one welcoming smile among a lot of them. And they were studying something and very intently. 3 privileged and uncomfortable white girls in smart uniforms from a posh school who had come to give them a lesson in debating. I know I'm a good debater, and one of the reasons for that is I always talk very directly to the audience and the opposition. I'm not shy about making eye contact. Well, when I did it this time, when it was my turn to speak, and I stood up there and looked out at those 40 unsmiling faces, I suddenly realized I hadn't prepared myself for one simple but all-important fact. They had no intention of being grateful to me. I mean, they were sitting there waiting to judge me what I said and how I said it based on total equality. And maybe that doesn't sound like such a big deal to you, but you have to realize I had never experienced that. And I don't just mean in debates, I mean in my life. I was in Blackwater, and it was their school, and it was their world, and I was the outsider being asked to prove myself. I mean, standing up there, I had never felt so exposed. Kathy told me that she'd never heard me start a debate so badly and end it so strongly. Oh, God, it was good. I mean, I don't know what exactly happened, but halfway through my opening address, I suddenly realized it. Everything about that moment, I mean, the miserable little classroom, myself, my voice, what I was saying, and them hearing and understanding, because, I knew they understood me. They were listening and staring so hard, I could feel it on my skin. Everything about that moment had become one of the most real experiences of my life. I mean, because that is what we all want, is it? For things to be real, our lives, what we say, what we do. Oh, that's what I want. I mean, I didn't know it before that debate, but I do now. You see, I finally realized what happened to me in that classroom. I discovered a new world. I mean, a world of its own, with its own life that has nothing to do with us. It's quite a discovery, you know? But, well, it's also a bit disconcerting because, well, it means that what I thought was out there for me, no. It's worse than that. And what I was made to believe was out there for me, the ideas, the chances, the people, especially the people. I mean, that's only a small fraction of what it could be. No. Whereas Angie says in the kitchen when she's not happy about something, Icona, not good enough. Oh, I'm greedy. I want more. I want as much as I can get.
Miss Dyson!
Hello?
There you are. My apologies for descending onto you out of the blue like this, but I've been looking for you high and low. One of the classmates told me I'd find you here.
No need to apologize. It's a pleasure to see you again, Mr. M.
Mr. M? How wonderful to hear you call me that.
Oh, you must blame Thami for my familiarity.
Blame you? On the contrary, I'd like to thank you most gratefully. Hearing you call me Mr. M like all of the other students give me a good sense of happiness. As if you're already part of my very extended family.
Well, I'd like to be.
Then welcome to my family, Miss
Isabel. Mr. M, just plain Isabel.
And welcome, young Isabel.
I thank you, kind sir.
You have great charm, young lady. I can understand now how you managed to leave so many friends behind after just one visit. Hardly a day ever passes without someone stopping me and asking me, when is Miss Isabel Dyson and her team coming back?
Well, when are we?
You will still welcome to return a visit?
Well, but of course.
Why so emphatically? Of course.
Well, because I enjoyed the first one so emphatically very much.
The unruly behavior of my young family wasn't too much for you.
Well, didn't I get a bit unruly once or twice myself, Mr. M?
Yes, now that you mention it, you most certainly gave it all you got.
And that is precisely why I enjoyed myself.
Good fight.
Yeah, especially the ones I win.
Oh, splendid, splendid, splendid! Because that is precisely what I came here to offer you.
Huh. You tell me once we're turned about, does he?
Oh, you most certainly will welcome the opportunity to salvage his pride. his teammates and teasing him mercilessly. But what I came here to offer you is a prospect even more exciting than that. I spoke to Miss Brockway, and it was her suggestion that I came here and speak to you directly. So here I am. Do you have a few moments to spare?
As many as you like.
It came to me as I sat there in number 1 classroom, trying to be an impartial referee when you and Thami went out for each other's hammer and tongs, no hold bars, no quarters given or ask. I didn't blame the unruly behavior of my young family. Once or twice I wanted to do some shouting myself. What a contest. But what a waste, I thought. You heard me. A waste. These two should not be fighting against each other. They should be fighting together. The truth is, Isabel, I have seen too much of it. Wasted people, wasted chances. It has become a phobia for me now. It isn't easy, you know, being a teacher, pouring your heart and soul into educating an eager young mind, knowing that you will never have the opportunity to further develop and realize its full potential. The thought of you and Thami becoming another victim of this country's lunacy was just too much for me. The time for lamentation has passed. 2 days ago, I received this in the mail. It's the program for this year's Graham Town School Festival. As I've told you, I've seen Miss Brockway. I've suggested to her that Condibo High and Zoe High enter as a combined team. She has given it her official blessing, so too has the festival director, whom I spoke to on the phone this morning. So there you have it, Isabel. I'm anxiously waiting your response.
I'm on the team.
Yes.
And?
That's right.
Tommy!
Correct.
Mr. M, you're a genius!
Calm down, Dave. Calm down before you get carried away and say yes. Let me warn you of a few things. It's going to be a lot of hard work, young lady. I'm appointing myself team coach, and as Thami will tell you, I can be a very hard taskmaster. You're going to have to give up a lot of your free time.
Anything else?
Not for the moment.
Well, then I'll say it again. Mr. M, you're a genius. How's that for unruly behavior?
Oh, the very worst. They could have done it better on Location Street. What a heartwarming response, Isabel.
Well, what were you expecting that I would say no?
I didn't know what to expect. I knew that you would give me a sympathetic hearing, but that I'll be swept off my feet, both literally and figuratively. No, I most certainly wasn't expecting that. Does my silly idea really mean so much to you?
Oh, come on, Mr. M. It's not silly and it's not little and you know it.
All right. But does it really mean so much to you?
Yes, it does.
Why?
That visit to Zoli High was one of the best experiences of my life. I mean, I don't want it to just end there, one visit and that's it. You see, I've met you and Tommy and all the others, and I would like to get to know you better, but how do I do that? I mean, I can't just go up to you chaps like, well, you know what I mean, roll up and knock on your doors like we were neighbors just living down the street. It's not as easy as that with us, is it? You're in a location, I'm in the town, and all the rest of it. So there I was, feeling more and more frustrated when along you come with your silly little idea. I mean, it's perfect. Do I make sense?
Oh, yes, most certainly. Please, make some more.
Well, I mean, I was thinking about it, you see. When I told my mom and dad about the debate and what a good time I had, I could tell they really didn't know what I was talking about. Especially my mom. And I ended up being pretty impatient with her, which wasn't very smart of me, because the harder I tried to make her understand, the more and more nervous she got. Anyway, I've cooled off now, and I realized why she was like that. Being with blacks on an equal footing, you know, as equals, because that is how I ended up feeling with Tommy and his friends. It was something that never happened to her before. She didn't know what I was talking about, and because she knew nothing of it, she was frightened.
And you're not?
No, not anymore.
So you were?
Well, not so much frightened, just sort of uncertain. I thought I knew what to expect, but after a few minutes in number 1 classroom, I realized I was wrong by a mile.
What had you expected, Isabel?
You know, that everyone would be nice and polite and very, very grateful.
And we weren't?
You were. But Tommy and his friends... Oh, I'll be feel that I've made friends with Thami and the others, so it's different.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Knowledge has banished fear.
That's right.
Bravo, 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 and yet again, bravo. If you knew what it meant to me to hear you speak like that from me, I wasn't wrong. From the moment I shook your hands, I knew you had a kindred spirit.
Well, tell me more about the competition.
First prize is 5,000 rands, which the bank stipulates must be spent on school books for the library. Obviously, we'll divide the proceedings between Kandibo High and Zodi High, and you and that win.
Yes. What about my teammate? What does he say? Have you asked him yet?
No. And I won't. I will tell you. And when I do, I trust that you will express as much enthusiasm for this as you have. I'm an old-fashioned traditionalist in most things, young lady. And my classroom is no exception. I teach, Thami learns. And you trust and understand that that is the way it should be. You don't like the sound of that, do you?
Well, it does sound a bit dictatorial, you know.
It may sound that way, but I assure you it isn't. We don't blur the differences between generations as you white people do. Respect for authority, right authority, is deeply engraved in the African soul. Respect for my authority is all I have when I stand in #1 classroom. If I were to lose it, those students would abandon their desk and take to the streets. I expect him to trust my judgment of what is best for him. And he does. That trust, Isabel, is the most sacred responsibility in my life.
He's your favorite, isn't he?
Good heavens. A good teacher doesn't have favorites. Are you suggesting that I will be a bad one? Because if you are your lady, you'll be right. Judging by that yardstick, I'm a very bad one indeed. He's my favorite. Mbikwana. Yes. I have waited a long time for him. To tell you the truth, Isabel, I have given up all hopes of him ever coming along. Any teacher who takes his calling seriously dreams of that one gifted student into which he can pour all that he knows and loves, and that will justify all those years of frustration in the classroom. I've had pupils that I've been proud of, but I've always had to bully them into doing their own schoolwork. Not with Thami. He wants to learn the way how other boys want to run out of the classroom and cause mischief. If he takes care of himself, he will go far and do big things. He's a born leader, Isabel. And that is what your generation needs. Powerful forces are fighting for the souls of your people. You need rare leaders, not rabble-rousers. And Thami was meant to be one. I know it with such certainty that it frightens me. Because it's a responsibility, mine and mine alone. I have a confession to make. In addition to everything else I've said to you, is another reason for this big idea of mine. When you and Harry shine at the festival, as I know you will, and you pocket a nice check for 5,000 rands, I'm going to point to Thami and say, and now, ladies and gentlemen, a full university scholarship if you please.
And you'll get it. We'll shine, we'll win, we'll pocket that check, and Thami will get a scholarship.
Oh, your unruly behavior is very infectious, young lady.
My unruly behavior? I like that. I caught that disease location, I'll have you know.
The future is ours, Isabel. We'll show this stupid country how it is done.
When do we start?
Next week. We must plan our campaign very carefully.
I'll be ready.
I am a man who, in the eager pursuit of knowledge, forgets his food, and in the joy of its attainments, forgets his sorrows, and who does not perceive that all age is coming on. No. As I'm sure you have already guessed, that is not me. My pursuit of knowledge is eager, but I do perceive, and only too clearly, that old age is coming on. And at best, I do a bad job of forgetting my sorrows. Those wonderful words come from the finest teacher I have ever had. The most wise of all the ancient philosophers, Confucius. Yes, I am a Confucian, the black Confucian. There aren't too many of us. In fact, I think there's a good chance that the only one in this country is talking to you at this very moment. I claim him as my own because I have read very carefully, and I will continue to read many times more. A little book he had about himself, his life, his thoughts, his utterance. Truly, they are beautiful words, my friends. Beautiful, beautiful words. My classic motto comes from its pages. Learning undigested by thought is labor lost. Thought unassisted by learning is peerless. But the words that challenge me most these days is something he said towards the end of his life. At age 70, he turned to his pupils one day and said that he could do whatever his heart prompted without transgressing what was right. What do you say to that? Think about it. Anything his heart prompted, anything that rose up as a spontaneous urge within his soul without transgressing what was right. Not in this life, and most certainly not in this world when I find myself with those wonderful words of Confucius be mine. Not even if I live to be 170, will I end up with a calm, gentle Chinese heart like his? I wish I could. Oh, believe me, I wish I could. Because I'm afraid of the one I got. I don't get gentle pumpkins with my friends. I get heart attacks. It jumps out and savage me like a wild beast when I walk up on the street and see what is happening to my people. I've got the whole zoo in here now. A mind filled with crazy and wild animals. And the keeper is frightened. All of them, mad and savage. Look at me. I'm sweating today. I've been sweating for a week now. Why? Because one of those animals, the one they call hope, has broken loose and is looking for food. Don't be fooled by its gentle name. It is as dangerous as hate and despair will be if they ever manage to break out. Do you think I'm exaggerating? Taking my metaphor a little bit too far? Did I like to put you inside a black skin and ask you to keep hope alive? Find food for it, where young and precious children go up and die of malnutrition. No. It is a dangerous animal for a black man to have prowling around his heart. So how do I keep mine alive, you ask, my friends? Friends, I'm going to let you in on a terrible secret. That is why I'm a teacher. It is all part of this secret hope of mine to keep hope alive. The truth is, I'm worse than you of feeding Christian to the lions. I feed young people to my hope. Every young body behind those desks keeps it alive. So you've been warned. If you see a hungry gleam in my eyes when I look at your children, you know what it means. That is the monster that stands here before you. Full name, Anela Mayala, age 57, marital status, bachelor, occupation, teacher, address, the back room of Reverend Mope's house. It's a little on the small side. You know those big kitchen-sized boxes of matches they sell these days? Well, if you can imagine that as being number one classroom at its own hand, then the little match boxes you put inside your pocket is my room at Reverend Mope's. But I'm not complaining. It has all that I need. A table and a chair where I can prepare my lessons and correct my work. A bed for a good night's insomnia. A reserved chair in the lounge where I can watch TV. So there you have it. What I call my life rattles around these two boxes. The classroom and the back room. If you see me hurrying along the streets, you can be reasonably certain that one of those two is my urgent destination. The people shout out, "Faster, Mr. M, faster! You'll be late!" They think it's some silly joke. They have no idea how close they are to tell the truth. Yes, the clock is ticking, my friends. History has got a strict timetable. If we are not careful, we may be remembered as a country where everybody arrived too late.
Sorry, Mr. M, the game started late.
I have been waiting long. Did you win?
No. We played a team of friendly Afrikaans-speaking young Amazons from Jacksonville, and they looked hollow, 4-1. Oh my God, it was brutal. They were fit and fast. They ran circles around us on the hockey field. I felt so stupid. I kept saying to myself, "It's only a game, Isabel. Relax, enjoy it." But no. Oh, there I was, swearing in my breath. Poor little Hillary Castle for being slow and not getting in a position for my passes. You want to know something really terrible? A couple of times, I actually wanted to go over there and hit her with my hockey stick. Isn't that awful? Oh, it's no good, Mr. I've got to face it out. I'm a bad loser. Got any advice for me?
On how to be a good one?
Yeah, how to lose graciously, with dignity. Oh, I mean it, I really wish I could.
If I had any advice for you, Isabel, I would be advised to use it on myself first.
Why? You won as well. I don't believe it.
It's true. I'm ashamed to say it, but whenever I lose, I too want to grab my hockey stick and hit somebody. Believe me, I can get very petty and mean if I'm not on the winning side. I suppose most bachelors end up that way. We're so used to having everything our own way that when something goes wrong, there you have it. That is my advice for you. Get married. If what I've heard is true, holy matrimony is the best school of all for learning how to lose.
I don't think it's something you can learn. I think you've either got it or you haven't. Like Thami. Oh, without even thinking about it, I know he's a good loser.
Maybe.
No maybes about it. He'd never get so upset that he took his hockey stick out on someone for not winning.
You two have become good friends, haven't you?
The best. These past few weeks have been quite an education. I owe you a lot, and I'm sure Thami would say the same if only you would give him the chance to do so.
What do you mean by that matter with him?
You know what I mean by that remark, Mr. Teacher. It's called freedom of speech.
I've given him plenty of freedom. Within reasonable limits. But he never chose to use it.
Because you're always the teacher and he's always the pupil. Stop teaching him all the time, Mr. M. Try just talking to him. Like a friend. I bet you in some ways I already know more about Thami than you do.
I don't doubt it. In which case, tell me, is he happy?
What do you mean? Happy with what? With us? The competition?
Yes. And his schoolwork and everything else. Is he happy?
Why don't you ask him?
Because all I get is another polite, yes, teacher. I was wondering if you had said something to you about how you really felt.
The two of you. It's crazy, but yeah, he's happy. At least I think he is. He's not a blabbermouth like me, Mr. M. He doesn't give much away, even when we talk about ourselves. I don't know what it was like in your day, but being 18 years old is a pretty complicated business as far as I'm concerned. If you asked me if I was happy, I'd say yes, but that doesn't mean I haven't got problems. I've got plenty, and I'm sure it's the same way with Thami.
Thami's told you that problems?
Oh, come on, Mr. N. We've all got problems. I've got problems. You've got problems. Thami's got problems.
Yes. But did he say what he were?
You're fishing for something, Mr. M. What is it?
Trouble in the bed. I'm sorry to say, but I'm fishing for trouble. I'm trying to catch it before it gets too big.
Thami is in trouble?
Not yet, but he will be if he's not careful. And so too will all of his friends. They swim around everywhere, on the vacation suite and in the classroom.
Oh, you mean that sort of trouble? Was it really as bad as people are saying?
reckless molding location, Isabel. Especially amongst the young people. Silly things are being said, and I got a suspicion that even sillier things are being whispered. I'm not having trust you. I was wondering if you had said something with you about what you were whispering about.
Wow. That's a hard one, Mr. Emily. Well, just suppose he had. Do you think it would be right for me to tell you? We call that splitting, you know, and you're not very popular if you're caught doing it.
It's for his own good, Isabel.
Well, he hasn't. Thank God, so I don't have to deal with that one. I mean, if I ever did that to him and he found out, that would be the end of our friendship. I wish you hadn't asked me.
I apologize, Isabel. It's just that I'm over anxious on his behalf. One silly mistake now could ruin everything. Please, forgive me for asking, and don't mention anything to Thami about our little conversation. I'll find time to have a word with him myself.
Hi, folks. Sorry I'm late.
It's okay. I just got here myself. Mr. M has been waiting.
The game went into extra time. Sorry, teacher.
Did you win?
No. We lost 1-0.
Good.
But it was a good game, though. We tried out some new combinations, and they almost worked. The chops are beginning to come together as a team. A little more practice. That's all we need.
Hear that, Mr. M? What did I tell you? And look at him. Smiling. Happy. Even in defeat, a generous word for his teammates.
What's going on here?
Oh, don't try to act innocent, Mbikwana. Your secret is out. I mean, your true identity has been revealed. You are a good loser, and don't try to deny it.
No, I don't like losing.
No, it's not a matter of liking or not liking, but doing so without a crooked smile on your face, a knot in your stomach, and murder in your heart.
You lost your game this afternoon.
Oh, whatever made you guess? We were trounced, so be careful. I'm looking for revenge.
Good. Then let's see if you can find it in the arena of English literature. What do we deal with today?
19th century poetry.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Whose service?
Gird your loins, Mbikwana. I want blood.
I wish you the very best of luck.
Oh, I hate you.
First service, please.
Right. I'll give you an easy one to start off with. The Lake Poets. Name them.
Okay. Wordsworth.
Yes, he was one.
Wordsworth. And
There was only one Wordsworth.
pass.
Wordsworth studied in Coleridge.
I should have guessed Coleridge.
One love.
Okay, first line of a poem by each of them, please.
Query, Mr. Umpire, how many questions is that?
One question, please, Isabel.
Coleridge.
In Xanadu did Cumberland camp, his stately pleasure don't decree. And if you don't like that, what about? 'Tis the middle of the night by the castle clock, and the hours of awakening the crowing cock, toot-wee, toot-woo, and if you're still not
Oh, stop
satisfied...
trying to show off, young man.
One all.
Wordsworth.
Earth has nothing to show more fair. Dull will be he of soul who pass by, a sight so touching his majesty and lovely word.
1, 2.
Southey.
Pass.
From his brimstone bed at break of day, a walking the devil is gone. His coat was red and his breeches were blue, and there was a hole where his tail came through.
I like that one.
A poet laureate to boot.
2 all.
One of them was expelled from school. Who was it and why?
Wordsworth. For smoking in the lavatory.
You're terrible, Thami. He should be penalized, Mr. Umpire, for irreverence. It was Southey, and the reason he was expelled, you're going to like this, was for writing a precocious essay against flogging.
How about that?
3, 2. Change service.
I'm not going to share any mercy. Okay. What poet was born with a deformed feet, accused of incest, and died of fever while trying to help the Greeks fight for freedom? A love of liberty characterizes his poem, and the desire to see the better nations of Europe settled.
Byron.
Lord Byron.
2, 4.
One of your favorites.
You bet. Yet freedom, yet thy banner thunder flying. Streams like a thunder flowed against the wind. Do you know the Christian name of Lord Byron?
Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Herbert?
No.
Henry.
No. How many guesses does she get this out?
Ugh, all right, give him the point. I pass.
3, 4.
To whom was he unhappily married for 1 long year?
Pass.
And Isabel in the band.
4 all.
Father's occupation.
Pass.
John Byron was a captain in the army.
5, 4.
One of that great poets was so overcome with grief when he heard the news of Lord Byron's death that he went out and carved into a rock. Byron is dead.
Matthew Arnold?
No. Another aristocrat, Alfred Lord Tennyson.
6, 4. Change service.
body did your Lord Byron burn on a beach in Italy?
Shelley?
For 7.
What happened to Mr. Shelley's ashes?
In a grave near John Keats in Rome.
For 8.
Shelley's wife, what was she famous for?
Which one? There were 2. Harold Westbrook, 16 years old, who he abandoned after 3 years and who drowned herself. On number 2 wife, who I think is the one you're actually interested in. Mary Wollstonecraft, the author of Frankenstein.
4, 9.
How much?
4, 9.
Oh, I don't believe this!
I counted 2 points last night, Isabel. Guess who they were?
Byron and Shelley. In that case, we'll deal with Mr. John Keats. What profession did he abandon in order to devote himself to poetry?
Law.
Ah, you're guessing, and you're wrong. He qualified as a surgeon.
5, 9.
What epitaph composed by himself is engraved on his tombstone in Rome?
Pass.
Here lies one whose name was writ on water.
6, 9. Leave the marriage, birth, and death columns, please. I want to hear some more poetry.
Who said this?
Yours.
I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and sky. And all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by.
And the wheels kick and the wind song and the white sails shaking, and a gray mist on the sea's face and a gray dawn breaking. I must go down to the seas again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way and the whale's way, where the wind's like a whetted knife.
And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rogue, and a quiet sleep and a sweet dream when the long trek's over.
Oh, splendid, splendid, splendid! But who gets the point?
Give it to John Masefield, Mr. Umpire. 19th century?
He was born in 1873. To tell you the truth, I couldn't resist him. You choose one.
I met a traveler from an antique land who said, 2 vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and smear of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions red which yet survive. Stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal, these words appear.
My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, O ye mighty, and despair.
And nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sand stretched far away.
Give that point to Mr. Shelley some point.
You'll be interested to know, gentlemen, that Ozymandias is not a fiction of Mr. Shelley's very fertile imagination. He was, in fact, a real live Egyptian king, Ramses II. According to every man's encyclopedia, one of the most famous of the Egyptian kings erected many monuments, but his oppressive rule left Egypt impoverished and suffering from an incurable decline.
So what happened to the statue?
What do you mean? How is it toppled?
Yes.
It doesn't say time. I mean, weather, I suppose. 2400 BC, that was over 4,000 years ago. What? What were you thinking?
Because I had a book of Bible stories when I was small. And there was a picture in it depicting the building of the pyramids by the slaves. Thousands of them, like ants, pulling big blocks of stones with ropes, being guarded by soldiers with spears and whips. According to the picture, the slaves would have easily outnumbered the soldiers 100 to 1. I actually tried to count them all one day, but the drawing wasn't good enough for that.
What are you up to, Mr. Mbikwana? Trying to stir up a little social unrest in the time of the pharaohs, are we?
Don't joke about those things, Miss Dyson. There are quite a few Ozymandiases in this country waiting to be taught. And you'll see it happen. We will lead to time to bring them down.
Who is this we you speak of with such authority, Thami?
The people.
Yes, I should have guessed. The people. With a capital P. Does that include me? Am I one of the people?
If you choose to be.
I have to choose now, have I? My black skin doesn't confer automatic membership? So tell me, how do I go about choosing? By identifying with our fight for freedom. Simple as that. Then I am certainly one of the people. I want our freedom as much as any one of you. I have been fighting for it long before you were born. But I have a small problem, Thami. Does this noble cause of ours has to stoop to the level of putting on a few silly statues? Where do you get the idea that we the people want you to do that for us?
They are not our heroes, teacher.
They are not our statues, Thami. Would it be better for us to put our energies together into erecting a few of our own? We also have heroes, you know.
Like who, Mr. M? Nelson Mandela? Hey, they'll pull down that statue so fast.
In which case, they'll be be just as guilty as blood vandalism. Because that is exactly what it would be, irregardless of who does it to whom. Destroying someone else's property is inexcusable behavior. No, Thami. I raise my hand in protest as one of the people you claim to be acting for. Don't use me as an excuse for an act of lawlessness. If you want to do something revolutionary, then let us sit down and discuss it. Because I have a few constructive alternatives that I'd like to suggest. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, teacher.
Good. I'm glad we understand each other.
So, what's next, Mr. M? How about singling out a few specific authors who we know will show up, like Dickens? I'll bet you anything you like, there'll be questions about him and his work.
Good idea, Isabel. Let's make a list of hot novelists, hot favorite novels.
Charles Dickens, Thomas Hardy.
Make a list of 20 names, divide it between both of you and get to work. I must be on my way.
Oh, well, before you go, I have an invitation for you and Thami from my folks. Would the two of you like to come to tea one afternoon?
What a lovely idea, Isabel.
Well, they've had enough of me going on and on about the all-knowing Mr. M and the brilliant protege Thami. They want to meet you for themselves. All right with you, Thami?
It would be an honor and privilege for us to meet Mr. and Mrs. Dyson. Tell me accept most gratefully.
Sunday.
Perfect.
Thami?
Don't worry about him, Isabel. I'll find time to tell him. I'll put a note in my diary and remind him at school.
I think you'll like my folks. My mom's a bit on the reserve side, but that's basically just because she's very shy. You and my dad should get along well. Just start talking sport with him, and he won't let you go. He played cricket for UP, you know. You will come, won't you?
Didn't you hear Mr. M? A delight and a privilege. We accept most gratefully.
Yes, but was he speaking for you as
He
well?
speaks for me or nothing.
Relax. I know that. That's why I tried to ask you separately, and while I'll ask you again. Would you like to come to tea this Sunday to meet my family? It's not a polite invitation. They really want to meet you.
Me? Why? Are they starting to get nervous now?
Oh, come on, Thami. Don't be like that. You're always nervous when it comes to me. But this time it happens to be genuine interest. I told you I talk about you at home, how much fun we have, how we're a team, which they're now very proud of incidentally, and that we're craving like lunatics so we can put up a good show at the festival. Does it really seem so strange that they want to meet you after all that? Honestly, dealing with the two of you is like, it's like walking a tightrope. I'm always scared I'm going to put a foot wrong and, well, I just hate being scared like that. What's going on between you two? There's something very wrong, isn't there?
No more than usual.
No, you don't. A whole lot more than usual. And don't try to deny it because it's getting to be pretty obvious. I mean, I know it gets on your nerves. I knew that from the first day we met, but it's more than that. These past couple of meetings, I've caught you looking at him, staring in a hard way, very critical, and not just once, many times. Do you know you're doing it? Well, if you do or not, you are, and now he started as well.
What do you mean?
He's watching you.
He can watch me as much as he likes. I've got nothing to hide. Even if I did, he'd be the last person to find out. He says nothing, Isabel.
I think you were very wrong.
No, I'm not. He has eyes and ears, but he sees nothing and he hears nothing.
Go on, please. I mean it, Thami. I really want to know what's going on.
He is out of touch with what's happening to us blacks and the way we feel about things. He thinks the world is still the same way it was when he was small. It's not. It's different now. But he's too blind to see it. He will not open his eyes and ears to see what's happening and listen to what the people are saying.
What are they saying?
They've got no patience left, Isabel. They want change. They want it now.
But he agrees with that. I mean, he never stops saying it himself.
No, he doesn't. He said it's about change at the old-fashioned ones. And what have they achieved? Nothing. We are worse off now than we've ever been. The people don't want to listen to this kind of talks anymore.
Tommy. What kind of talk is that?
The kind of talk that calls our struggle vandalism and lawless behavior. It's the kind of talk that expects us to sit quietly and wait for white South Africa to wake up. If we keep on listening to this kind of talk, our children still won't know what it means to be free.
And these old-fashioned ideas of his, are we one of them?
What do you mean?
You and me, the competition.
Let's change subject. Thomas, honey.
No, well, you can't do that. I'm involved. I've got a right to know. Are we an old-fashioned idea?
Not our friendship, Isabel. That's our decision, our choice.
And the competition?
Well, I don't know. I haven't thought about that yet.
Oh, boy. This doesn't sound so good. You've got to talk to him, Tommy.
He won't listen.
Make him listen.
It doesn't work that way with us blacks, Isabel. You can't just walk up to your teacher and tell him he's got the wrong ideas.
Well, that's just your bad luck, because you're going to have to do it, even if it means breaking sacred rules and traditions. You've got to sit down and have it out with him. I don't think you realize what all this means to him. It's a whole lot more than just some old-fashioned idea as far as he's concerned. I mean, this competition, you and me, but especially you, Thami and Mbikwana, have become a sort of crowning achievement to his life as a teacher. I mean, it's become a sort of symbol for him, and if it were all of a sudden to collapse, why don't you want to think about it?
Then don't! Let's just get back to whatever it is we've got to do.
Right. That's the way you want it. Charles Dickens.
I'm sorry, sir. I know you're trying to help, but you must understand that it's not just a personal issue between him and me. That would be easy. I wouldn't care then. Just wait for the end of this year and get out of this school and classroom as fast as I can. We've got more to do than that. I've told you before. Sitting in this classroom does not mean the same thing to me as it does to you. This classroom is a political reality of my life. It's part of the whole political situation that we are up against, but Mr. M has chosen to identify with it.
All right. I believe you. I accept everything you said about him, your relationship, the situation. No arguments, okay? But doesn't all that make it so more important that the two of you start talking to each other? I mean, I know he wants to. You can see him trying to reach out to you. It's so sad. He just doesn't know where to start. Show him how it's done. Make the first move. Don't let it go wrong between the two of you, Tommy. That's about the worst thing I could imagine. We all need each other.
I don't need him.
I think you do. Just as much.
Stop telling me what I need, Isabel. And stop telling me what to do. You don't know what my life is all about, so just keep your advice to yourself.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interfere. I thought that we were a team and that what concerned you two involved me as well. I'll be sure to mind my own business in the future. Let's leave it at that then. See you next week, I hope. You used the word friendship a few minutes ago. It's a beautiful word, and I'll do anything to make it true for us. But don't let's cheat, Tommy. If we can't be open and honest with each other and say what's in our hearts, we've got no right to use it.
Masie, masie, masie skoweni. Masie, masie, masie skoweni. Eskoweni sasakaya. Eskoweni sasakaya. Gongo, gongo. Come, come, let's go to school. Let's go to our very own school. Gongo, gongo, the bell is ringing. Gongo, gongo, the bell is calling. Singing at the top of his voice and holding his school slate under his arm, 7-year-old Thami Mbikwana marched proudly with other children into the classroom every morning. Gongo, gongo, the bell is ringing. Oh yes, young Thami was a very eager scholar. And what made it most interesting was that he was one of the very clever ones. A particularly promising pupil is how one of my school reports describes me. My first real scholastic achievement was a composition I wrote about myself in Standard 2. Not only did he get me top grades in my class, my teacher was so proud of me, she made me read to the whole school at assembly. The story of my life so far by Thami Mbikwana. The story of my life so far is not yet finished because I am only 10 years old and I'm going to live a long, long time. I come from King Williamstown. My father is in Mbikwana and he works very hard for the boss on the railway. I'm also going to work very hard and get good marks in all my classes and make my teacher very happy. The story of my life so far has also got a very happy ending because when I'm big, I'm going to be a doctor so I can help people. I will drive to the hospital every day in a big white ambulance full of nurses. Free of charge. The white people must pay me for their medicine because they've got lots of money. That way, I'll get lots of money too. My father and my mother will stop working and come and live with me in my big house. That is the story of my life up to where I am in Standard 2. Thank you. I must bring my story up to date because there have been some changes and developments since little Thami wrote those hopeful words 8 years ago. To start with, I don't think I want to be a doctor anymore. That praiseworthy ambition has unfortunately died in me. It still hurts me so bad when I think about the sufferings and the pains of my people. But I realize now that what causes most of it is not an illness that can be cured by the bottles and the pills of medicine they hand out at the clinic. I don't think I need to go to the university to learn that what my people really need is a strong double dose of that traditional Kosa remedy called Ikukuleku. Freedom. That little wall of the classroom, where I used to be very happy. Where they used to pat me on the head and say, little Thami, you go far. That little world of wonderful promises, where I used to feel so safe, has become a place I don't trust anymore. Now I sit there like this like an animal that has smelled danger, heard something moving in the bushes, and knows it must be very, very careful. At the beginning of this year, the inspector of the Bantu schools in the Cape Midland regions, Mr. Dewi Grobler, he made us call him Undawi, came to give us Standard 10s his usual pep talks. Boys and girls, or maybe I should say young men and young women now because you have come to the end of your times behind those desks. You are special. You are the elite. We have educated you so that you can be major shareholders in the future of this wonderful republic of ours. In fact, we want all the people of South Africa to share in this future. Black, white, yellow, red, and if there are some green ones out there, then them as well. Ho, ho, ho. I couldn't remember much of what he said after that because my head was trying to deal with that one word he used there. The future. Our future. A wonderful future of peace and prosperity. What do I see? Happy and contented shareholders in this exciting enterprise called the Republic of South Africa? No. I see a generation of tired, defeated young men and women who crawl into their little pan dogs at the end of the day's work for the white boss of madam. These men and women are our fathers and mothers. We have grown up watching their humiliation. We have to live every day with the sight of them begging for bread in this land of their birth and their parents' birth, up to the first proud ancestors of our people. Black people lived in this land ever before any white settlers had even landed. Or does Undawi think we are stupid? That in spite of the wonderful education he had given us, we cannot use the simple arithmetic of add and subtract, multiply and divide to work out the fair share of 25 million black people? Do you understand me, good people? Do you understand now why it's not as easy as it used to be to sit behind this desk and learn what only Undabi kings I must know? My head is rebellious. It refuses now to remember when the Dutch landed, or the Huguenots landed, or the British landed. It has not forgotten now when the old Union became a young proud republic. But it does know what happened in Clipstone in 1955, Sharpsville on the 21st of March, 1960, and in Soweto on the 16th of June, 1976. Do you? Better find out, because these are the dates your children will need to learn someday. These are the stories and dates we are proud to learn about, because they are stories about our future, our heroes. But the time of whispering has passed. Tomorrow, we start shouting, Amanda!